crusty crab pizza is the pizza, yeah, for you and me. Oh, I think I actually got the higher notes better than the lower ones, unexpectedly. Oh, hi, gang. Hey, you pond scum. Hey, all my algae bros. How does it goes? How are you all doing? I hope you're doing fine. Not just today, but all of the time. And if you're not, then you probably deserve it. Ha ha ha. Ha. Can you believe it's been 301 episodes? Wow. I'll do that every episode now. Wow, 302, 300... I mean, you know how numbers work. I mean, I presume you know how numbers work. I hope you know how numbers work. The issue is, as is usually the case with these sorts of things, you get to like a milestone, 300 episodes, oh my god, wow. And then it's like, oh, so what next? And then it's just like, oh, then you just, then it is episode 301. And you just carry on as normal and pretend nothing great or fantastic ever happened. Just carry on. Just do your job. How about that? How about you just fucking keep going, keep doing your shit until you're dead. I've got people that say they look forward to this shit every week. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. It's mental illness, largely. But I got an audience to keep happy. I got to just keep this shit going. I can't get to 300 episodes and then go, oh, that'd do. That's enough. I'll have a rest now. I mean, I'm sure I could take a break. I actually hate doing that, though. I don't hate, but like I quite dislike just the feeling of having to say, sorry guys, no episode this week. It's happened a couple of times. Rarely, but it has happened. And I don't like it. It doesn't feel good in my tummy guts. It makes me feel bad. And I don't want to feel bad. I want to feel good. And good feelings seem to come rarer and rarer these days. So, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Hello! Hello everybody, and what do you know? Welcome back to the fucking show. Episode 301. Oh yeah. You can go and suck on your mum's fat tits. Do 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 do. That's about what you can expect from today's episode without the from today's episode. If you dive into my cave and crack rocks open, you don't find geodes, you find pissodes. I guess peodes would be the slightly more sensible thing. Sensible. Fucking shut up. I don't know if it shows, if it is noticeable. This hand is quite pink. That's a sunburn. I got sunburnt. I went out in the sun, which was my first mistake, really. I went outdoors. But when a lovely, attractive person says, "Hey, Ewan, it's a nice day out. Do you want to go for a walk?" I'm enough of a sucker that I say, "Okay then." And I go for that walk and I hang out. And, I enjoy the time spent with that person. Good times. They're good. They're good people. They are good people. The sun isn't good, people. I've made the same mistake before. I figure, well, I'm not going to be in the sun that much. We're going to be walking around. It's going to be fine. Then we sit for several hours just talking and whatever. And then the person goes, God, you're looking quite red. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I probably caught the sun a bit. Probably. So I get home and I'm like, oh, phew, yeah, I'm really pink. I'm like pretty fucking pink. And then later that day and the next day, I'm even pinker and even like it's a deeper, almost purple. Like my sunburn is legitimately almost purple, which is obscene. Possibly the worst sunburn I've ever had, because it's not just, and that's why I'm not just mentioning I got sunburn, because it was largely on the left half of my face and head and neck, just on the one side, and it got all swollen. It's gone down now. It's been a couple of days and it's pretty much gone down, but for a couple of days there, I had a big swollen head, and it did actually look pretty funny. It was probably funny from an outside perspective. At the time, I was actually a little bit like scared and worried. I actually Googled like, when is it dangerous? Because it's a burn, and if it's making your flesh swell up, that's what happens when you literally cook shit. Shit swells up, it fucking bubbles up and grows and whatever. So if my skin is doing that, it's probably not a good thing. But my ear was all puffy, like the left side of my head was just like sticking out slightly in the top, like my forehead and cheek, just bulbous. And my ear is all puffy and sticking out. My neck was like I think my neck caught the worst of it. It was just like bright purple and swollen and shit. And the problem is it's kind of embarrassing to like, everyone gets sunburn, it's whatever, but it's just the fact that like it's so avoidable. It's so preventable. All you have to do is just put on some sunscreen and just keep your fucking hood up. If I've been to the beach any time in my life, I almost always am wearing a hoodie and I keep my hood up. I keep covered because I know I've got fair flesh. I'm a pale man. My Viking blood, my Norse skin, my beautiful alabaster skin with all the freckles. The freckles come out even more in the sun, so that's cool if you're into it, I suppose. It doesn't do well in the sun, so I know to stay out of it. And so being not just, I have sunburn, but having a big swollen head. Not that head, come on. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about my forehead and my face being swollen and shit. It's pretty funny, but at the same time it's not. It's silly. I should take more care. But I didn't know I'd be out in the sun that much. I didn't realise I knew it was sunny, but like, I didn't realise it was that fucking sunny. Jesus. So now I'm still very, very, very pink. Less swollen. Not my penis. Stop. Every time I say something about being swollen on my head, you think my penis is silly. Stop it. And I sting. I have been soaking myself in aloe vera lotion, which I think genuinely has been helping, so that's something. So not to worry, I am okay. And when I googled, should I be worried? Should I go to hospital maybe? From what I could tell, like, it's nothing that serious. I think if I start getting like a fever, and if I don't know, if my skin was like bubbling up, like all blistering and shit, then yeah, I should probably go to a hospital. But I don't think it was. Well, I don't think it wasn't. It hadn't gotten to that point. At the very least, I didn't have to fucking go to hospital, so that's something. But it just feels silly. I had to go to the shops. I had to do a bit of shopping, and I felt I didn't. So I put a hat on. I have a couple of hats I can wear if needs be, because I just felt silly walking around with a big swollen head. It feels silly, and I know nobody cares, because if I walk past someone and they've got like a bit of a swollen face, I don't give a shit. If I even notice, I go, oh, they probably, I don't know, got bitten by something. Maybe it was a snake bite. You know, very much doubt it would be anything that cool, but you never know. And I don't care, so I know. It's the same thing with acne. You get some spots and you go, oh no, I can't go out like this, everyone will see that I've got spots. But you've got to think, like, if you see someone with spots, you don't think, oh, look at that cunt, what a fucking horrible spotty cunt. Well, maybe you do think that, in which case you're a horrible person. You shouldn't think that. But typically, you wouldn't, because no one gives a shit. But you only think about it when it's yourself. You think that you are walking around looking like the fucking Hunchback of Notre Dame. Plus, it's just, you know, it's out of the ordinary. If I had some spots, I'd be fine. It's whatever, but it had a big swollen head. It felt silly, and so I didn't want to show it off, so I wore a hat. Tried to cover it up a bit. It was just a little bit embarrassing. That's all it was. I was just a bit embarrassed, is all. I know it's not the end of the world, it's just some sunburn. And like I say, it's mostly gone now, so... Well, the swelling is mostly gone now, the sunburn is... It's on my scalp as well. My scalp definitely caught some burn. Literally the day before, I shaved my head afresh. Very short buzz cut that I have typically. And then I left the house into the sun and just got fucking burnt to a crisp. But that's what I get for leaving the house, and I won't make that mistake again. I shan't be doing that again anytime soon. If somebody else says, hey Ewan, it's a nice day out, do you want to go for a walk? However attractive they might be, I will say, go fuck yourself. What are you trying to do to me? You're trying to kill me, is that it? Are you actually trying to fucking kill me by getting me to leave the house and go outside and get burnt? You cunt. I'm onto you. I see what you're doing. You piece of shit. Trying to get me all burnt. You fucking bastard. You fuck. You cunt. You fucking... So I'm just trying to fill up this sketchbook. I've got a bunch of spaces. I mean, this isn't a space. I could leave this as a drawing, but I think when I drew it thinking I want to colour it in. And so I'm doing that with paint. I could probably have used like Posca pens or something. Be a bit easier, but I don't know. I wanted the specific colours and textures and ability to highlight and shade if I deem fit. And so that is what I'm doing. Well, his hat's got to be that colour as well, hasn't it? Oh, and his eyes. Everything's fucking red. Jesus. So yeah, no real... Well, I was going to say no real theme or anything today. There is. There's this. Which... You can take that in one of two ways, or in any way you like, I guess, but specifically there's probably two ways you could take it. If I say there's no theme, there's just this, you could take that as, is this it? Is that the whole thing, just oh, let's do some shit in a sketchbook. Or you could take it as more like, there's this, and it's filling up a sketch. It's a whole fucking thing. Wowsy spousy. I don't know what that is. Wowsy spousy. Fucking. My brain's melted from being out in the sun. That was such a big fucking mistake. I had a good time. It was good to spend time with that person. It was good to... I do like walking. I go on walks. I like to do that occasionally, but... Like, for instance, because if I take one of my walks where I go down by the docks and then I loop back around up through town and then back home again, about an hour or so total, I typically will do that earlier in the day or later in the evening when it's cooler. And, you know, stick my hood up if it gets too much or whatever. But I'm in constant movement. I'm rarely out in the sun that much, and it's fine. But it's when you go on a walk with someone through a big park ground and then you sit not under a tree but by a tree. Hey, let's sit near some shade. I know you're fairer of skin and so you burn up quickly, but let's sit near some shade, not in it but close enough that you can see it. And I'm just sitting there fucking cooking away. And of course I sit with my back to the sun because I don't want my face to catch on fire. You know, I don't want the sun in my eyes. And so the back of my head fucking bakes in said sun. With incredibly humorous results, of course. See how humorous? Ha 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 ha. What would a video containing sludge life paintings be without another look through the Sludge Life photo album? Ha 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 ha. JK. We're not doing that. Not this today. Don't you worry about that. In fact, we're not actually... I don't really have an art book segment for today. Well, I mean, in a way, the entire... This episode is one big art book segment, isn't it? I mean, what is a sketchbook if not just a big fucking art book? It's almost more of an art book than like an art book. It's more holistically an art book. It's a book that is art in and of itself. It's not just about art. It is physically and literally is art. So in that way, the whole thing is it's all one big fucking... I mean, you get it. Also, I've been looking around and I'm not finding... I thought it could be cool to look at some Francis Bacon work, because I've always been a fan of Francis Bacon, and I have mentioned him a couple of times recently with regards to like his studio space and stuff. And I did see a big book of his paintings in a bookstore, and I thought, well, that could be quite cool. You know, sort of not deep dive into it, but just look through some of his work, some of his paintings and stuff. He's an interesting guy, interesting art, sort of. But then I was like, yeah, I can't, you know, the book's big and expensive and whatever. And then, like comics, I saw one of the latest issues of the Hulk was out, and it had artwork by Nick Klein, which is good. That's what has been missing from the last few issues. And I looked through it in the comic store, and I was just a bit like, meh. There's nothing particularly outrageous going on in that particular issue. So I just thought, fucking... There's no other comics I was really into. I think I missed the latest issue of Ultra Mega. I might order a copy. I may be visiting Sam for Easter, so I may see if I can order a copy, have it delivered to his home, and then pick it up whence I get there. Because there's nothing else there's nothing else to look at. There's no comics I really want to look at. No art books I've seen that I want to look at. There's not even anything in particular on my radar. Although there's Zach Smith, who I've looked at his work a few times on episodes of this show, etc. He put out a new book recently, something like a quite a big collection of works. It is an art book, and I'd like to get a copy of that, but I think it's quite expensive, and it's international shipping makes it even more expensive. And I did put a thing in my story on Instagram saying, showing that book, saying, "Hey, somebody buy me this." Of course, nobody did. For the most part, I adore OnlyFans girls and internet booby girls in general. You know, I frequent their content enough. So I'm very happy they exist, and I do my best to support them where I can. I have many friends who do those kinds of activities, and I think it's a great thing that they can do that and that they enjoy doing that. If they enjoy doing it, I'm glad that they can do that. A small resentment that I have is that they will put out, like, they'll have a wish list, like an Amazon wish list, and they'll say, "Oh, here, guys, here's my wish list. Buy me shit from my wish list." And then people will just buy shit, clothing and items and trinkets. People will just buy them shit off their wish list, just willy-nilly, which is, again, it's fantastic and good for them. And, you know, if people choose to buy them shit, then good for them. It's all wonderful, it's all good. But, you know, maybe people should do that for me. Maybe if I show an art book in my Instagram stories and I say, "Hey, someone buy this for me," maybe someone should fucking buy it for me. Is what I'm saying. There's no actual resentment now. I would really like that art book, and doesn't seem like it's meant to be just yet. I'm sure I will be able to get hold of a copy sooner or later, but not for now. Anyway, what I thought I might do, or what I am going to do, it's not a question of might, is I'll give you all some inspiration for today, yeah? Quite some time ago, around college, I stumbled upon something called, it's pronounced Tao. I thought it was Tao, but it's Tao. It's pronounced Tao. Taoism. Tao means being. It believes in them. It's like, it's not a religion. It's like a philosophy, kind of like a Chinese, like a way of being, a way of seeing the world and seeing yourself within the world and in relation to the world around you. And I'm not going to say it helped me through some times, but it certainly helped me put into perspective thoughts and feelings I had been having around those times. And is something I've sort of held on to through to today. And maybe you will sort of see that. So what I'm going to do is I'll cut the audio, and then I'll overlay me reading from some of this as a little bit of inspiration. It's Friday, going into the weekend. I mean, if you're watching this on Friday when it goes out, then maybe you're watching it on the week, and it's the weekend, so have some fucking inspiration, you dozy cunts. I have kinky fantasies, and then I just have fantasies. I would love to fuck under a waterfall, or maybe at a hotel at the highest floor, overlooking the prettiest views. One time, a guy pissed on my body in the shower, and I liked it, but he never, did it in my mouth, so I've been a little bit curious as to if I would like that or not. Oh wait, this is Score magazine, that's not Taoism. How did that get in? Oh, Jesus. Where are... there we... Right. If you know the way, then you know the goal, because the goal is not at the very end of the way, the goal is all along the way. Each moment and each step, it is there. It is not that when the way ends you have arrived at the goal. Each moment, wherever you are at the goal if you are on the way. To be on the way is to be at the goal. Hence, Taoists don't talk about the goal. They don't talk about God. They don't talk about moksha, nirvana, enlightenment. No, not at all. Very simple is their message. You have to find the way. The way. You have to find the way. With knuckles and the thing. Things become a little more complicated when the masters say, the way has no map. The way is not charted. The way is not such that you can follow somebody and find it. The way is not like a superhighway. The way is like a bird flying in the sky. It leaves no footprints behind. The bird has flown, but no tracks are left to follow. The way is a pathless path. It is not ready-made, available. You cannot just decide to walk on it. You will have to find it. You will have to find it in your own way. Nobody else's way will do. Buddha has walked, Lao Tzu has walked, Jesus has walked, but their ways are not going to help you because you are not Jesus. You are not Lao Tzu and you are not Buddha. You are you, a unique individual. Only by walking, only by living your life will you find the way. This is something of great value. That's why Taoism is not an organised religion. It cannot be. It is an organic religiousness, but not an organised religion. You can be a Taoist if you simply live your life authentically and spontaneously. If you have the courage to go into the unknown on your own as an individual. If, not leaning on anybody, not following anybody, you simply go into the dark night not knowing whether you will arrive anywhere or whether you will be lost. If you have the courage, that choice is there. It is risky, it is adventurous. Christianity, Hinduism and Mohammedanism are superhighways. You need not risk anything, you simply follow the crowd. With Tao, you have to go alone, you have to be alone. Tao respects the individual, not the society. Tao respects the unique, not the crowd. Tao respects freedom, not conformity. Tao has no tradition. Tao is rebellion, and it is the greatest rebellion possible. See, a young non-conformist Ewan ate this shit up. This is what it was all about. This is the exact thoughts and feelings I was having. And then I come across these kind of books and I'm like, oh, that's it, that's fucking it. Where's this bit? No goal, no technique. All technique is against nature, against Tao. Effort as such is against Tao. If you can leave everything to nature, then no technique is needed, because that is the ultimate technique. If you can leave everything to Tao, that is the deepest surrender possible. You are surrendering yourself, your future, your possibilities. You are surrendering time itself and all effort. This means infinite patience, awaiting. Once you surrender everything to nature, there is no effort. You just float. You are in a deep let go. Things happen to you, but you are not making any effort for them. You are not even seeking them. If they happen, it's okay. If they don't happen, it's okay. You have no choice. That's what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying. Minimum effort. Minimum effort. Always. Don't strain yourself trying to do shit. Minimum effort. Just be there. Just let shit happen. Don't try to do things. I mean, you've got to, if you want to make art and shit, you've got to sort of try a little bit. But, you know, in general, don't overexert yourself. It's minimum effort. Surrender everything. Let go. Whatsoever happens, happens. You have no expectations and, of course, no frustrations. Life flows by, you flow in it. You have no goal to reach because with a goal, effort enters. You have nowhere to go because if you have somewhere to go, effort will come in. It is implied. You have nowhere to go, nowhere to reach, no goal, no ideal, nothing to be achieved. You surrender all. In this surrendering moment, in this very moment, all will happen to you. Effort will take time, surrender will not take time. Technique will take time, surrender will not take time. That's why I call surrender the ultimate technique. It is a non-technique. You cannot practice it. You cannot practice surrender. If you practice, it is not surrender. Then you are relying on yourself. Then you are not totally helpless. Then you are trying to do something. Even if it is surrender, you are trying to do it. Then technique will come in, and with technique, time enters, future enters. Surrender is non-temporal. It is beyond time. If you surrender this very moment, you are out of time, and all that can happen will happen. But then you are not searching for it, not seeking it. You are not greedy for it. You have no mind for it at all. Whether it happens or not, it is all the same to you. Tao means surrender, surrender to nature. Then you are not. Tantra and yoga are techniques. Through them you will reach a place of surrender, but it will be a long process. Ultimately, after every technique, you will have to surrender. But with techniques, it will come in the end. With Tao, in Tao, it comes at the beginning. If you can surrender right now, no technique is needed. You have to be deconditioned. If you are in Tao, then no technique is needed. If you are healthy, then no medicine is needed. Every medicine is against health, but you are ill. And there's a bunch of other shit in there as well. Medicine, not medicine, something, something. But that's what's up. That's what it's about. That's what Tao is, essentially. Tao, I think the word Tao means way or the way. Because the way is the way. And once you know the way, you are on the way. And it's like water. See, water doesn't put in effort. Water just happens. Water erodes rocks. And it kills people. It drowns people when they drive their cars into lakes and shit. But it doesn't try to. It just does that because that's just what it is. It just bees. I know water's maybe not the best example because water's not like technically a living organism. But, you know, that's what Lao Tzu says. He says to be like water, move and do shit, but you don't even have to try to move because the moving will just happen through the natural course of things. And then something, I don't know, a bunch of shit, some shit about yin yang and good and bad, reverse of all things, and but accepting that and not caring about if it's good or bad because all good and bad just is. It isn't a matter of. You get it. I cannot quite remember the exact context, but I mentioned. I've mentioned them a lot of times, but I know I mentioned in a recent episode Mormon church camps and about how I had some genuinely good memories from those times. So I was trying to think of like what was some of the good memories I had, because then I can sort of relate some of those good memories to you. I can talk about some of the good times, some of the fun times I had on the old Mormon camps. I couldn't think of any. There probably weren't any. It's probably all shit. Well, I could think of a few, but I couldn't stop remembering, which is a weird, very strange way to phrase it. I couldn't stop remembering this fucking guy called Ashley. First of all, girl's name. Good luck with that shit. But also, he was, for some reason, I don't know, I realised it back then, and even then I couldn't put my finger on why, but for some reason he just fucking hated me and my brothers. And he was from the same, like, area as us, so they call them wards, so it's like the Winchester ward, Southampton ward, Portsmouth ward, etc., etc. Whatever city you're in, the church in that city is referred to as the ward of. It's just church terminology. It's fucking whatever. But so he was part of the Winchester ward, as was I and my brothers. That's where we lived. Our mothers were friends, I guess. And so we'd very often be at activities together and go to these camps together, whatever. But just 1 year, it seemed like just in general, day to day, we'd sort of get along and it would be fine. But I remember just 1 year, he was just like, everything he said was some dig at me and my brothers. Because there was at least 1 or 2 years where me and both my brothers were going to the camps together when we were sort of like within the age range at the same time. And yet he'd just keep, this fucking guy would just keep saying shit. My surname is McLaughlin, so he'd refer to, the McLaughlins. Like there'd be some activity going on, people would be like, oh hey, do you all want to come and join in the obstacle course or whatever? And people would be like, oh yeah, cool, let's go hang out. And then he'd just randomly go, oh, do the McLaughlins have to come as well? like in front of everyone, just like, what the fuck you? What the fuck is that? And then at some point, I don't know, maybe me and my brothers happened to laugh similarly, which in a way would make sense because we like lived together. So if we happen to have some of the same sort of cadence in how we express, how we laugh and shit, then it would sort of make sense. But he was like making fun of the McLaughlin's laugh, like, hey, let's all do the McLaughlin laugh. Just shit like that. He just kept doing shit like that for like that 1 year, and then the next time we were at camp as well. And so we were getting a lift home because, again, we lived close by each other. So me, my brothers, and him, and then these other two kids. The other kids' dad was giving us all a lift home in his big people carrier that he had. So the guy driving us home, he stopped for some reason to like pick something up on the way home. And then this kid, Ashley, goes, oh, can't the McLaughlins just walk from here? Like, why do we have to take them back? It's just a waste of petrol. Like, just saying that shit out loud, just like, what the fuck is his problem? I never found out where any of that came from, or why he randomly decided to hate us. Well, I can almost understand, because, you know, certainly one of my brothers was very hateable, and people didn't like him. So maybe he was basing it on that. He figured, well, that one's a cunt, so they're all cunts. And I will openly admit, I've had those moments where, like, I'm sort of friendly with someone, if it's like a friend at school or just a person, even someone from church or whatever, and then they just sort of start to get on your nerves. You just, like, and you start to kind of point out everything they do, and you realise that everything they do kind of annoys you, just the way they are, the way they laugh, the way, just everything. It starts to just, you know, they lose whatever it was that made you like them in the first place. Sort of, that seems to go away. This is fucking run out, hasn't it? And you just sort of, you can stop liking people. It happens. I think these days they call it the ick. You get the ick, and you realise actually you don't necessarily like this person that you. A lot of times as well, it is like people from school or whatever. So it's people you're thrown in with, which has always struck me as strange about school. It's like the idea of making friends at school is so weird, because you're just thrown in with these people, and you're expected to just get along and like them and make friends and be happy and work with them and form relationships and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I've come away from school very happily not keeping contact with anyone because they're all absolute shites. That's my own personal shit to deal with. So I do understand not liking people, or like growing to not like people. Oh, I left the gap here for a reason. He has a tongue coming out of his mouth, but now it's gone. Will this pink Posca, will that work if I seems to do the trick. But even if I fall out of liking someone, I'm not going to start just fucking bad-mouthing them everywhere, publicly, in front of everyone. I needed to stop and think then, in case I had done that. Because there was a chance, and I was like, oh wait, no, what if I did do that? And now I'm just lying. I've got to stay honest. I've got to be the most honest person ever. But no, because you just don't, do you? It's not proper. Especially not when it's supposed to be like a church camp and everyone's supposed to be like nice and Christian and get along and whatever. To just fucking... I mean, for me, it felt like what I said of he he obviously maybe didn't like one brother in particular and just built his whole opinion on the others of us based on that. And I've had that happen a lot in general. The amount of teachers who had one of my brothers in particular as a student in their classes and would then act towards me as if I was just a smaller version of that brother, which I absolutely was fucking not. But there's been many, many times where teachers have, like, you know, it's been the first class I've had with that teacher, and they've looked in the register and gone, McLaughlin, oh, you're not related to him, are you? Oh, are you his brother? Oh, I've literally had that happen multiple times. Multiple teachers. Again, this particular brother. This particular brother is the one that caused me to get hit by a car when I was fucking 8 or something. But that's how teachers were. Oh, God, you're not like him, are you? I remember there's one time I wasn't understanding... In primary school, bear in mind, I was maybe 9 or 10, maybe. And I wasn't understanding some maths thing. And the teacher goes, oh, you're just like your brother. And just, like, what kind of thing is that to say? Fuck you for thinking that way as a teacher. Let alone just fucking outwardly saying that to this student in your class. Like, fuck you. Fucking cunt. Jesus, who says that shit? So I've had to live with that, like, maybe not my whole life, but certainly my childhood. I had to deal with that for most of it. Living in the shadow of my brother, but, like, in a bad way. People just having to have been around him and then not being happy about it. So I don't know, all that is to say, you know, with regards to this kid whose name is Ashley, again, fucking girl's name. Oh, I almost said the F slur then. It was in my head. I wouldn't say it out loud, but it was certainly in my head. Again, maybe I'm too honest. I'll just say that. I almost said a slur. Just because a guy has a name which can also be a girl's name. What the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, that guy's just a fucking grade A cunt. Just a piece of shit. I'm sure it's not a nice thing to say, but I hope he's dead. I don't know. You know, we lost... I think he stopped going to church before me, so we sort of didn't keep in touch, lost contact, whatever. So I don't know whatever might have become of him. But the guy's a prick. And I hope he's fucking dead now. I don't know if maybe you cottoned on or not, but you might have noticed this episode in general is a little bit... It's a little bit of several things. It's a little bit all over the place. Just like a fucking sketchbook. See, the episode is like a sketch. It's made up of little... And it's all... See, it's all part of the... It's almost like it was planned that way. You think, oh, this is a bit all over the place. Bit shoddy, bit slapdash. Nah. You see, that's all part of the... It's clever is what it is. Fucking, it's genius, actually. It's actually really smart. No, it's actually... I mean, if you take the time to understand, you realise it's actually really, really clever. It's like a deconstruction of like what a podcast is and what a sketchbook is, and it breaks it down into its like component parts, and it really sort of makes you think about, you know. Sometimes I astound myself with just how brilliant I can sometimes am. I was thinking one of my sort of all-time top tier favourite. This has been. It's not very pink, is it? Silly fucking bastard of a pen. One of my all-time favourite memories from my summer camp days was the year that prick decided he didn't like me and my brothers. And not liking my brothers is fine, I understand that, but I was a little adorable teenage, nubile, sexy young Ewan. How can you not like that? Come on. Jesus. There was a photo up after. This only happened 1 or 2 years, but after the camp, on the notice board, I guess whoever was in charge of the youth boys put together like a collage of photos that had been taken during the camp. So it was like, hey, the boys hiking, the boys washing dishes, the boys touching all the bums of all the other boys. I mean, that wouldn't have been on there, obviously. Very, very rarely, so incredibly rarely, I would sleep with no shirt on. Like, typically, I just prefer to have something on. I don't like the feeling of being even half naked because I'm damaged. because lots of bad things happened to me when I was a child. And I didn't grow properly, and now I'm awkward in normal human situations. But I have my reasons. I prefer not to be naked. But evidently, at one point on one of these camps, I decided to be in bed shirtless. In bed, in my sleeping bag or whatever. And there was a bunch of us in this one big tent. And then there was apparently a photo had been taken, and we were all looking at the camera, so we knew it was happening. And we were all like going like, bleh, like tongues out, making like peace signs or whatever, being like, bleh, just, fucking stupid little kids being stupid little kids. And everyone else was like clothed in, t-shirts, hoodies, whatever. And there's just me in that photo, topless. And he put that photo on the notice board in a church, in like the classroom where we have our like youth classes. Just fucking topless Ewan, like a 13, 14-year-old topless Ewan. And I don't know how long that was up for, but I don't feel like that was up for very long, like the collage. I'm sure someone stole it, took that photo home for their own personal use. And who can blame them, really? Anyway, that is to say, I was a very, desirable, sexy, young thing. How could you hate such a sexy creature? And that's all to say. So that prick, I think it was the same year that he decided he hated my brothers and I. One of my favourite memories is one of the camp leaders who was, I believe, in the army or ex-army or something, and he was wearing army fatigues, which I know you don't have to be in the army to wear, but as far as I'm aware, he was an army guy. So he was wearing like camo trousers and that sort of light khaki green t-shirt, and boots, army style combat boots or whatever. So he was lighting a fire, like the big campfire. Big hole in the ground, full of like old broken pallets and branches, just wood. And he poured petrol in there, gasoline, which you're not supposed to do just in general, as far as I'm aware. It works for lighting fires, of course. It will catch fire very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. It's very effective at starting fires, but I don't think you're supposed to start campfires with it, let alone campfires around very impressionable young youths, especially young Christian youths. You shouldn't maybe go starting campfires with petrol because, it's dangerous, innit? But that was the plan. So a big hole had been dug in the middle of this field, filled in this field that had been filled with bunch of wood, branches, shit, whatever. So he's pouring in petrol, and then it's getting like the sun's going down, so it's still daylight. We can still see, but you can see the sun is heading downwards. So the leaders call everyone over. They're like, okay, everyone, let's get around the fire, and then we'll sort of go over the plan for the evening and what we're going to be doing for the next couple of days or whatever. So we're all sat around the fire, and then that guy, the army guy, fire marshal, which calling him that will be even funnier in a second. He goes, okay, everybody get on this side of the hole because you don't want to be downwind when the fire starts, because the wind's blowing this way, the fire will get you if you're sat on this side. So everyone sit around this side so you're safe. He's an army guy. We figure he knows what he's talking about. He tells us to be safe. Get on this side so we don't get fired by the fire. Go on that side of the fire, not this side. Go on that side. So we all move around. We make sure we're on the side of the fire that's not downwind, so that when the fire starts, we don't get caught in the fire by the fire. This guy, he stands exactly where he told us not to sit. Literally, if this is the big hole, we were just sat around it, and he goes, everyone sit on this side. So we all sit on this side, because he says, if you're here, the fire will get you. Then he stands here, tosses like a match or something in, this enormous fireball fucking erupts out of this hole. And we all see it, we all hear it just go, literally, like that booming, sudden gasoline fire sound, big black cloud, really quick. Like within a second, it's gone as quick as it got there, as quick as it showed up. Just this quick. The next thing I see is that guy stumbling away, like this way, away from the hole, holding his face. He's like hunched over, holding his face, sort of stumbling, walking away. Evidently, he got by the fire because he was standing downwind. After that happened, no one really thought much of it because we figured like, oh, he just, oh no, the fire got on me a little bit. But we figured, I guess he's probably all right. Didn't see him for a few days. Next time I did see him, I actually bumped into him in the toilets. I went to the toilet, and just as I go in, I see him at a sink, sort of applying ointments and bandages. His whole face just fucking blistered like he basically burnt his face off. Like not literally, but it was bad. I remember seeing him, and as I walked in, he goes, "You're right." So he was looking at me, forcing me to look at his fucking face, his fucking burnt face. There's me thinking my face is burnt from the sun, a bit swollen. But I guess if nothing else, I can be happy in the knowledge that it's not that bad. Jesus. And so he had like a big brown paper bag full of, I guess, lotions and bandages and stuff to take care of his face. Because it was just like pink and swollen and blistered and peeling. Like it looked like a fucking burn victim, which it was. I think all of us figured he probably just like singed his eyebrows or something. Like, oh no, he's going to have lost an eyebrow from there, haha, because he's stood where he told us not to sit and he got by the fire. But no, I think he I think he had long-lasting damage because of that. And that's one of my favourite memories from summer camp, which it genuinely is. I think it's it's funny, it's exciting, it's exhilarating. It's got drama, intrigue. Some twat who did exactly what he told us not to do, and felt the results very quickly. Felt the consequences from that very, very quickly and efficiently. Yeah, that's that story. Apparently, the legend goes, and I do not know at all. I cannot speak speak on the legitimacy of this whatsoever, but I was told sometime later that that guy was like, I don't know if it was court-martialed, but, and this is why I think he was in the army, because apparently he like was made to not be in the army anymore because of that exact situation, which kind of makes sense, because if you're a soldier of any kind and you burn your face off because you're leading a Christian youth camp, and you know, in a way, he kind of, in a roundabout way, put a bunch of teenage kids in danger by starting a fire with petrol, and then he burnt his face off because of starting a fire with petrol. Then I can absolutely see that as being grounds for being made to not be in the army. What's it called when you're... Because I know court-martialed is a thing, but I feel like that's a bit too serious. You're like discharged, dishonourably discharged. Is that the... I've had some dishonourable discharges in my time. Way. So yeah, that's what I heard happened to him, which, like, it's believable. It's not outrageous to think that, yeah, you fucking should be. You shouldn't be a member of the armed forces that's supposed to be protecting our lands if you're going to go and burn your face off with a fireball at a church youth camp. You silly fucking dildo.